Rain poured heavily from the sky, washing over the small front yard of the Carter family home. Maya Carter stood there, soaked to the skin, as her clothes and belongings lay scattered across the wet grass. She was 28, tired from a long week at work, and now watching her life being thrown out piece by piece. Her mother, Elaine, stood at the front door with a hard, cold expression. Without a word, she tossed out the last cardboard box, which landed with a splash beside Maya's feet. Maya's younger brother, Tyler, stood on the porch holding his phone up, recording everything as if it were some kind of show. "Mom, please." Maya's voice trembled. "Just tell me what I did wrong." Elaine didn't look at her. Her tone was sharp and final. "You brought shame to this house." The words hit Maya harder than the rain. She waited, hoping for an explanation, a chance to defend herself. None came. She looked at Tyler, but he only smirked behind his camera. The neighbors peeked from behind their curtains, whispering to each other, pretending not to stare. For a moment, Maya thought about begging, asking her mother to let her explain, to listen, to forgive her for whatever she was accused of. But something inside her stopped. She realized that nothing she said would change anything. They had already made up their minds. So instead of crying or shouting, Maya took a deep breath. Her lips trembled, but her voice was calm. "Okay," she said quietly. Her mother froze, surprised by her calmness. Tyler lowered his phone a little. The neighbors fell silent. The rain continued to fall, heavy and cold, but Maya stood still, tall and steady. Elaine turned away without another word and slammed the door. Tyler followed, still recording, leaving Maya alone in the yard. For a few seconds, all she could hear was the sound of rain hitting the ground and her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She looked around at her things, her clothes, her books, her photos, pieces of her life now lying in the mud. She bent down, picked up one of the soaked boxes and held it close. Her hands shook, but her eyes stayed dry. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. From behind the window, a few neighbors watched quietly, their faces full of pity and curiosity. They wanted to know what she had done, what terrible secret had caused her own family to turn on her. Maya didn't know what hurt more, being thrown out or realizing that the people she loved most didn't believe in her anymore. Still, she kept her head high. With quiet steps, she walked toward her small car parked by the curb. As she opened the door, she looked once more at the house, the place that was no longer her home. Then, without another word, she drove away into the storm. Her silence spoke louder than any scream could have. And that was the moment her real story began. Maya is a law intern working at a small legal firm in town. She had moved back home a few months ago to save money while finishing her internship. Life in her family home wasn't easy, but she tried to make it work. She was ambitious and hardworking, but also gentle and kind. No matter how tense things got between her mother and brother, Maya was always the one trying to keep the peace. Her mother, Elaine Carter, was well known in the community. She led the women's group at church, always dressed perfectly, and loved when people praised her family for being godly and well-behaved. But behind closed doors, things were different. Elaine cared more about what people thought than about how her children actually felt. Maya's father, Robert, had left years ago after having an affair. Since then, Elaine had worked hard to maintain her image as a strong single mother. She often spoke about forgiveness at church, but at home, her heart was still bitter. She rarely mentioned Robert, except to remind Maya that men are weak, and you can't trust anyone. Maya's younger brother, Tyler, was the golden child. Elaine adored him. He was charming, funny, and knew how to make their mother smile. But he was also lazy and spoiled. Whenever he got into trouble, Elaine found a way to blame someone else, usually Maya. Still, Maya didn't complain. She focused on her work and her studies. Every month, she quietly helped pay part of the mortgage using her small internship stipend. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't want credit or praise. She just wanted to help her family and keep peace in the house. But peace never lasted long in the Carter home. Small arguments happened almost every evening. Elaine would complain about Maya coming home late, or about her not helping enough around the house. Tyler often made jokes at her expense, calling her Miss Lawyer or the silent judge. Maya would just smile and ignore him. One night, while they sat at dinner, Elaine said sharply, "You think you're better than us now that you wear office clothes? Don't forget who fed you." Maya didn't respond. She had learned long ago that talking back only made things worse. Her silence often annoyed Elaine even more, but it was the only way Maya could protect herself. Then one evening, something changed. A rumor spread that Robert, Maya's father, was back in town. No one knew if it was true, but the thought of him returning brought tension into the house. Elaine grew angrier and colder. Tyler kept asking questions, and Maya avoided the topic altogether. A few days later, Maya got a call from Robert. It was short and awkward. He said he wanted to meet her, to talk, to explain. Maya agreed, but only to hear him out. They met at a small cafe near her office. It wasn't emotional, just quiet. He apologized, said he regretted leaving, and asked how her mother was. Maya didn't know how to answer. When Elaine found out about that meeting, everything fell apart. "You met him?" "Behind my back," Elaine shouted that night. Her voice was full of rage and pain. "After everything he did to this family?" Maya tried to explain. "He just wanted to talk, Mom. That's all." Elaine didn't listen. "You betrayed me," she said coldly. "You betrayed this house." From that night on, the air in the house felt heavy. Elaine barely spoke to Maya, except to criticize her. Tyler followed his mother's lead, making sly remarks and accusing Maya of taking sides with Dad. Maya began to feel like a stranger in her own home. Every word she said was twisted, every silence misunderstood. But she kept quiet, focusing on work and trying not to break down. Sometimes, late at night, she would hear her mother on the phone, gossiping to church friends. "Pray for Maya," Elaine would say. "She's lost her way. She's letting bad influences into her life." It hurt deeply, but Maya said nothing. She had grown used to carrying her pain quietly. Through small flashbacks, the truth of her life became clear. All the little moments when she had been ignored, blamed, or made to feel invisible. Like the time she got a scholarship, and her mother said, "Don't brag about it. Tyler will feel bad." Or when she once overheard Elaine tell someone, "Maya's too soft. She'll never survive in this world." Over time, Maya learned to use her silence as her only defense. When words caused more damage, silence became her shield. And when silence made them uncomfortable, it became her weapon. Still, deep inside, she hoped things would get better, that her mother would see her efforts, that her brother would respect her, that peace would return to their home. But what Maya didn't know was that her quiet strength was about to be tested in ways she never imagined. And her silence, the thing that once protected her, would soon become the reason they turned against her completely. One evening, Maya sat on her bed, trying to check her savings account online. She planned to use part of her savings to finally rent a small apartment and move out of her mother's house. But when she looked at the account balance, her heart sank. Almost all the money was gone. At first, she thought it was a mistake. Maybe the bank had made an error. But when she looked at the transaction details, she saw several large payments made to the university Tyler attended. Her stomach tightened. She knew instantly what had happened. Her mother had taken her money. Maya sat there for a few minutes, shaking, trying to calm herself. Then she walked downstairs to the living room, where her mother and Tyler were watching TV. "Mom," she said quietly, "can we talk?" Elaine didn't look up from her phone. "About what?" "It's about my savings account," Maya said. "I just checked, and a lot of money is missing. It says it was sent to Tyler's school." Elaine sighed, still not looking at her. "Yes, I used it. Your brother's tuition was due. You know how important his education is." Maya stared at her in disbelief. "Mom, that's my money. You didn't even ask me." Now Elaine looked up, her eyes cold. "You wouldn't have that money if it weren't for me. Everything you have belongs to this family." "That's not fair," Maya said, her voice rising. "I worked for that money. It's from my internship. You had no right to take it." Tyler smirked from the couch. "Oh, here we go," he muttered, pulling out his phone. Maya the lawyer, ready to sue her own mother. "Stop recording me," Maya said, trying to stay calm. But Tyler didn't stop. He zoomed in, pretending to be amused, while Elaine stood up and shouted, "You are so ungrateful. I raised you, fed you, gave you a roof over your head, and this is how you repay me." "I just want what's mine," Maya said, her voice breaking. "You can't take my money without asking. That's stealing." Elaine's face turned red. "Don't you dare call me a thief in my own house." The argument grew louder. Maya was angry and hurt. Tyler kept recording everything, pretending she was out of control. Finally, Maya turned away and said, "Fine. I'm going to the bank tomorrow. I'll handle this myself." Elaine crossed her arms. "Go ahead. See how that looks when people find out how you treat your mother." The next morning, Maya went to work, still shaking from the night before. She tried to focus on her tasks, but she couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. She decided to wait until the weekend to visit the bank, hoping things would calm down at home. But they didn't. A few days later, Maya started noticing strange looks from relatives, and even people at church. Some of them sent her messages like, "We're praying for you," or "Be strong, Maya." She didn't understand why, until one of her cousins sent her a message saying, "Your mom told us you attacked her." Maya froze. "What?" she typed back. Her cousin replied, "She said you screamed at her and tried to hurt her." Tyler even showed a video. Maya's heart sank. She realized what had happened. Tyler had posted the video online, the one where she was angry and shouting, but without the part showing why. It made her look like she was yelling for no reason, like she'd lost control. Her mother had twisted the story completely. Now everyone believed Maya was unstable and dangerous. That evening, Maya came home from work, exhausted. But when she reached the house, something felt wrong. The front door was closed, but her things, her clothes, shoes, books, and even her laptop, were lying on the front lawn. She dropped her bag, frozen. The rain from earlier that day had made everything wet and muddy. Her photo albums were soaked. Her favorite jacket was ruined. She looked toward the door just as it opened. Elaine stood there, arms folded. Tyler stood behind her, still filming. "Mom," Maya whispered. "What's going on?" Elaine's face was cold and distant. "You're not welcome here anymore. You've caused enough trouble. But leave, Maya. Go live with your father if you care so much about him. You've made your choice." Maya stood there, silent. Her throat tightened, but no words came out. She picked up one of her boxes with shaking hands, trying not to cry. The neighbors across the street peeked from behind their curtains, whispering again. Tyler whispered something to Elaine, and they both turned back inside, shutting the door. Maya stood alone on the lawn, surrounded by her wet belongings. The home she had worked so hard to help keep was no longer hers. Her own family had turned against her. And for the first time in her life, Maya realized, silence might not protect her this time. Maya sleeps in her car for several nights, parked near her office building. The seat is uncomfortable, the air is cold, and she barely gets any rest. Each morning, she wakes up early, washes up in a nearby restroom, and puts on her work clothes, trying to look normal. She forces a smile at the front desk, pretending everything is fine. But her co-workers start to notice the dark circles under her eyes, the tired look on her face, and how quiet she's become. They ask gentle questions. "Are you okay? Rough week?" But she just nods and says she's fine. Inside, she feels broken. The humiliation of being thrown out by her own family burns in her chest. Every time she drives past her mother's street, her heart aches. She can still see her belongings lying on the wet grass, the door slamming in her face. On the fourth morning, as she sits in her car sipping cold coffee, her phone rings. It's an unknown number. When she answers, a calm voice says, "This is Officer Daniels from the local police department. We need to inform you that your mother, Mrs. Elaine Carter, has filed a restraining order against you." Maya's hand trembles. "A restraining order? Why?" "She claims you threatened her safety," the officer says. "You'll receive the paperwork soon. Until then, please avoid all contact." Maya can barely breathe. "That's not true," she whispers. "I never threatened her." But the officer just says, "You can discuss it in court," and hangs up. For a long moment, Maya just sits there, staring at the phone. Her mother, the woman she'd spent years trying to please, was now accusing her of being dangerous. Tears fill her eyes, but she wipes them quickly. She can't fall apart, not now. At work, she tries to focus, but her hands shake during meetings. Her boss, Jordan Ellis, a kind and respected lawyer, calls her into his office. "Maya, you've been off lately," he says gently. "If something's wrong, you can talk to me." At first, she denies it. But when he asks again, her voice cracks. "It's my family," she admits softly. "My mother filed a restraining order against me. It's all a lie, but everyone believes her." Jordan listens carefully. He doesn't judge or interrupt. I can help, he says finally. You have rights. If you want, I'll represent you. Maya shakes her head. I don't want to fight her. I just want peace. I want this to stop. Jordan sighs. Sometimes peace comes only when you stand up for yourself. Think about it. Later that day, Maya checks her phone and sees dozens of notifications. Her stomach drops. Tyler has posted clips of the argument online, short, edited videos showing her yelling, crying, and looking out of control. The captions read things like "Ungrateful daughter attacks her own mother" and "Pray for the Carter family." Within hours, people in town start talking. Old friends stop messaging her. Even some of her church members comment things like "so sad," or "she used to be such a good girl." Maya feels like her whole world is collapsing. The shame, the lies, the betrayal. It all becomes too heavy to carry. Each night, she lies awake in her car, staring at the roof, replaying that moment in her mind, the day she said okay and walked away in silence. She wonders if staying quiet made her strong, or made her look guilty. Maybe she should have fought back. Maybe her silence gave them power. One night, unable to sleep, she pulls out her phone and opens the voice recorder. Her voice shakes as she begins to speak. "This is what I should have said," she whispers. "Mom, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just wanted you to see me, to listen for once." She records another one the next night, and another after that. Each time, her words come out stronger, clearer. These voice notes become her secret therapy, a place where she can finally speak without being judged, without being interrupted. At work, Jordan keeps checking on her. "You're stronger than you think," he tells her one day. "You don't have to stay silent anymore." But Maya isn't sure. Silence has always been her way of surviving. If she fights back, she risks losing what little peace she has left. But if she stays silent, her mother's lies will destroy her completely. The pressure builds. Every day she feels torn between two choices: to protect her dignity quietly or to speak up and defend herself. Then one night, as she listens to her own recorded voice saying, "I just wanted to be heard," something changes inside her. She realizes that staying silent isn't peace anymore, it's surrender. And for the first time in her life, Maya decides that maybe it's time to speak. Court day arrives. Maya wakes up early, her stomach tight with nerves. She puts on her neat black suit, the one she had saved for important occasions. Her hands shake a little as she fixes her hair in the mirror. Today isn't just another hearing. It's her chance to finally speak her truth. Outside the courthouse, the air is cool and quiet. Maya takes a deep breath before walking inside. Her mentor, Jordan Ellis, walks beside her, carrying a folder full of documents. "You're ready," he says calmly. "Just stay composed. Let the truth speak for itself." Inside the courtroom, Maya sees her mother sitting on the other side with her lawyer. Elaine looks confident, dressed in her usual elegant clothes. Tyler sits behind her, phone in hand, avoiding Maya's eyes. When the judge enters, everyone rises. The sound of the gavel echoes through the room. Court is now in session. The judge says firmly. Elaine's lawyer begins first, painting a picture of a troubled daughter who lost control and threatened her family. He plays the short, edited video Tyler had posted online, the one showing Maya shouting. Gasps fill the room. Elaine wipes fake tears from her eyes. "She scared me," Elaine says in a trembling voice. "I thought she might hurt me. I had no choice but to protect myself." Maya stays quiet, her hands folded in her lap. She doesn't look angry or afraid, just calm. When it's finally her turn, Jordan stands. "Your Honor," he begins, "we have evidence that tells a very different story." He walks to the center of the courtroom and sets down a stack of papers. These are bank statements showing large transfers from Miss Carter's savings account to her brother's university, without her permission. Elaine's eyes widen. The judge nods, examining the documents. Jordan continues. "And this is a series of text messages between Miss Carter and her mother. You'll see that Maya repeatedly asked for an explanation, politely and respectfully, about the missing money. There was no aggression, no threats, only confusion and pain." The courtroom is silent. Then Jordan plays a second video, the full, unedited version. Tyler's jaw drops. The screen shows everything. Elaine shouting first, calling Maya ungrateful, Tyler mocking her, and Maya finally saying she would go to the bank. The truth plays out clearly before everyone's eyes. When the video ends, the room is quiet for a long moment. The judge looks from Elaine to Maya. "Mrs. Carter," he says slowly, "did you or did you not take your daughter's money without permission?" Elaine fumbles for words. I was helping my son. It was for the family." "That wasn't the question," the judge interrupts. "Did you take it without her permission?" Elaine's face turns pale. She glances at Tyler, who looks down in shame. "Yes," she finally whispers. The judge sighs. "And did you tell people your daughter attacked you?" Elaine hesitates, then mutters, "I might have exaggerated." "Exaggerated?" the judge repeats sharply. "You filed a false report and spread lies. That's a serious matter." Maya sits quietly, watching her mother's mask begin to crack. Jordan hands the judge one final folder. "Your Honor, Miss Carter has kept careful records. Every text, every withdrawal, every message. She has been silent, yes, but not careless. She was documenting everything, waiting for the truth to reveal itself. That's when it becomes clear. Maya's silence all along wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was her strategy." The judge leans back in his chair. "Miss Carter," he says, looking at her kindly, "I can see that you've been deeply wronged. I'm dismissing the restraining order immediately and clearing your name. Furthermore, Mrs. Carter, I suggest you reflect on the damage you've caused." Elaine's lips tremble. The calm mask she's worn for years finally breaks. "You embarrass me," she shouts, her voice echoing through the room. "After everything I did for you, you humiliated me in front of everyone." Maya looks at her mother, the woman who once taught her to stay quiet and endure. Her eyes are steady, her voice soft but firm. "You did that yourself." The room falls silent. Even the judge pauses, as if moved by the quiet power in her words. Elaine slumps in her chair, speechless. Tyler avoids looking at his sister, guilt written all over his face. As the session ends, Jordan pats Maya's shoulder. "You handled that perfectly," he says with a proud smile. Maya exhales deeply, feeling lighter than she has in months. For the first time, her silence had spoken louder than any argument could. It wasn't weakness anymore. It was power, control, and peace. When she walks out of the courthouse, the sun is shining brightly. She closes her eyes, letting the warmth touch her face. For the first time in a long time, Maya feels free, not because she shouted to be heard, but because she finally chose when and how to speak. Maya moves into a small apartment on the edge of town. It's nothing fancy, just one bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a window that lets in soft morning light. But to her, it feels like peace. For the first time in years, the air around her is quiet and safe. She spends her first night sitting on the floor, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. There's no furniture yet, just a mattress and a lamp. Still she smiles. No one is shouting. No one is recording her. No one is trying to control her. The next morning, she deletes her mother's and brother's phone numbers. She blocks them, along with all the relatives who had spread lies about her. Then she scrolls through her old messages, the hurtful ones, the ones filled with blame, and deletes them all. It feels like letting go of a heavy weight she's carried for years. At work, her co-workers notice the change in her. She walks with more confidence now, her voice calm and steady. One Friday evening, they surprise her with a small celebration in the office break room. There's a cake, a few balloons, and a card that says, "To Maya, not for winning a case but for finding herself." She laughs and blushes, touched by their kindness. Jordan, her mentor, smiles proudly. "You didn't just win in court," he says. "You won your life back." Months pass. Maya fills her apartment with small pieces of joy, plants, books, and photos that remind her of her new beginning. She works hard at the firm and starts volunteering at a women's center on weekends. She listens to women who have gone through similar experiences, being controlled, blamed, or robbed by their own families. Their stories remind her of her own pain, but also of her strength. One quiet afternoon, there's a soft knock on her door. When she opens it, Tyler is standing there. He looks thinner, older, and uncertain. He doesn't have his phone out this time. "Maya," he says softly, "can we talk?" She hesitates, then steps aside and lets him in. He looks around the small apartment and nods slowly. "You've done well for yourself," he says. His voice is low, almost ashamed. Maya sits across from him, waiting. "Mom's sick," he says finally. "She misses you." She talks about you all the time now. I think she regrets what happened. Maya listens quietly, her face calm. I'm sorry she's unwell, she says gently. Will you come see her? Tyler asks hopefully. Maybe if you visit, things can go back to normal. Maya smiles sadly. I forgive her, she says softly. But I can't go back. That house isn't my home anymore. Tyler nods slowly, eyes downcast. I understand, he whispers. Before he leaves, she hugs him. It's brief but warm. Take care of her, she says. After he's gone, Maya sits by the window, watching the sunset. She feels peaceful, not because everything is perfect, but because she finally has control over her own life. A few weeks later, she takes a bold step. With Jordan's help, she starts a small nonprofit organization that offers legal support to young women facing family financial abuse. Women who, like her, were silenced and betrayed by those they trusted. She calls it the Quiet Voice Foundation. Every time she helps someone reclaim their freedom, she remembers the girl who once stood in the rain, saying only one word. Okay. That girl found her strength in silence and turned her pain into purpose. In the closing scene, Maya drives down the quiet street where she grew up. The trees look smaller now, and the paint on the old houses has started to fade. As she turns the corner, she slows down. There it is, her old family home. The yard is empty, the windows are closed, and a big for sale sign stands in front. The house looks different, smaller somehow, not as powerful or frightening as it once felt. Maya pulls her car to the side of the road and rolls down the window. A soft breeze blows in, carrying the smell of rain and old memories. For a long moment, she just sits there, staring. She remembers everything. The arguments, the silence, the pain, the day her things were thrown onto the lawn. But this time there's no anger, no sadness, only peace. She smiles softly, her eyes calm. Then she whispers almost to herself, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means I finally stopped explaining myself to people who never listened. Her words float in the air for a second, carried away by the wind. She takes one last look at the house, the place where she lost everything, and where she also found her strength. Then she starts the engine, rolls up the window, and drives away slowly. The camera lingers on her face as the sunlight shines through the car window. There's a quiet confidence in her eyes now, the kind that comes from surviving, from healing, from choosing peace over pain. As the car disappears down the road, the world around her feels open and full of possibility. Maya doesn't look back again. She doesn't need to. She has learned that silence isn't about giving up. It's about knowing when you no longer owe anyone an explanation. And as she drives toward her new future, she is finally free, finally strong, and finally heard. Hi besties. Two Hearts, thanks so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you in the next one. Bye. Waving hand sparkles.